All right, everyone, welcome back into another props video. Give me a touchdown on the top prop bets on both PrizePicks and Underdog today. Now, it is Flex Friday, so I will be kind of concentrating on give you guys a Flex Friday slip. But if we have some good prop bets and Underdog, I'll call that out. I'm mostly going to be concentrating on the NBA, but I do want to start out with a quick update that I made to the 95 Sports PrizePicks cheat sheet that I'll also be making available to Underdog short. But first, as always, let's get into a quick recap of yesterday. So I mentioned that we would most likely have a bounce back day from the day that we had on Wednesday, and that is what happened. Okay, 6 for 8 on the day, very solid day. Kind of unfortunate, very unfortunate that the Steelers decided to go for it on, 4th and 3 inside, I think it was like the 15-yard line or so, to make it a one-score game. No, they went for it, didn't get it. That was unfortunate there. Typical variance, so can't complain about a solid day. The one that I loved, Zeke on the whole day, that I mentioned on the Thursday props video as well. He absolutely crushed it. That was probably one of the easier prop bets that we'll get on the season. And low-key, kind of crazy with the difference in the college basketball props rebounds lately. Like, it shouldn't be this big of a spread. That's kind of crazy. All in all, half a point off on PrizePicks. Very bittersweet there, but yesterday was a day in which we didn't have that many good bets, so all in all, I would have taken. So I do just want to mention a quick update that I'm going to push on the 95sports.com website here shortly. And what this is going to be is a quick snapshot view of the best prop bets that we have available on PrizePicks. And again, I'll be doing this for Underdog. Hopefully I'll have this updated by this evening for you guys, but it's not going to have any of that other like NBA data and whatnot when you click on it. But when you do click on it, like for instance, Mark Williams fantasy score, we can see this is going to be rare just because typically speaking, PrizePicks and the average sportsbook line do not have the same line, but you can click on it. And then again, you can scroll down and kind of just get a view of what is expected there. So right now we can see 57% chance for the over to hit for Mark Williams for over fantasy. And then we can continue on. We got Nick Claxton. Now guys, Nick Claxton, the start at 23.5 on the day. That was a prop bet that I had made already this morning. And if that doesn't hit, I'll be super tilted there. But we continue on. We can kind of just see which are going to be the best bets. And if you want to only look at maybe prop bets that have a 54% chance or better of hitting, use the scroller, because obviously those are going to be the best EV bets on the slate. And then here we go. We could have a 3-slip bet or a 6-slip bet right here. So kind of a fun up. But let's go and take a peek at NBA on the day. Again, I like using this tab because it's a little bit more broken down in terms of what we're expecting and what. So let's go and get into kind of the injury report for today. We are going to see that Jalen Duren is out. That's a big thing for the Detroit Pistons. Now, we have seen Bogdanovich really just be a stud. He is someone that, overall, I think is going to continue to play well. For Orlando, this is a big piece of news, guys. Markelle Fultz and Jalen Suggs are going to be out. The issue with the Magic lately, or this season, has been the fact that they run 2 deep, or 3 deep at the point guard spot with Cole Anthony, with Jalen Suggs, and with Markelle Fultz. Now, they might still pull Cole Anthony off the bench, but that's a big piece of news. Cole Anthony is going to be able to crush. Gary Harris might have a good game as well, but for what it's worth, I think we're just going to be looking at Cole Anthony. Jalen Johnson's still up for the Hawks. Mark Williams is currently a game time decision. If he were to sit, PJ Washington would probably be someone we're looking at. Continuing on Washington, yeah, they're kind of banged up. DeLon Wright being out probably will ensure that Tyus Jones will get his minutes, which is very much key. From there, we're looking at Cleveland. LeVert's still out. Mobley a game time decision. Obviously, if he sits, that's just going to help Jared Allen out, and some others. Looking at Miami, I kind of mentioned on the last slate that with Jimmy Butler, it's like, yeah, typically speaking, he's going to be the one that goes off, but when he doesn't, he is very much a disappointment, and everyone else goes off. And we saw that last slate where everyone else seemingly went off, but with Bam and Hero still out, you're expecting Jimmy Butler to still have that high usage rate like he has had. Continuing on, obviously, this big 13-game slate. That's why I'm not going to do the game-by-game breakdown here. Looking at, though, Memphis, they're still pretty banged up. Chicago's going to have Caruso active. Levine is still going to be out. Denver seems to be healthy, good to go. Phoenix, big pieces of news here. Grayson Allen out, Bradley Beal out, Kevin Durant out. That's going to mean Eric Gordon and really Devin Booker are going to have massive usage rates. Looking at Dallas, Grant Williams still out. Okay, Derek Jones probably still going to be someone that kind of is the third option. For Portland, I do think it's worth noting Simons is back. Simons played a lot of minutes in the last game. And also, if Brogdon were to sit, that would just mean a high usage rate for Simons there. And then Jeremy Grant's out. That's a big piece of injury news. And then DeAndre Ayton, also a game time decision. And then looking at it, from there, game-wise, not too big of a deal. So real quickly, I do just kind of want to take a peek at the sportsbook view, courtesy of ODDSJAM. Remember, if you guys want access to this or any of their other tools, just use the promo code 9to5. That's going to give you guys 25% off. They'll also kick back some money my way, but it's a tool that I like to use to start out the video coverage here for you guys. Just looking at the games that maybe are going to be more appealing than the others. To me, we got two pretty appealing games. Atlanta versus the Sixers. Yes, there's potential blowout, but very high game total. And then the next one is actually going to be Washington versus Brooklyn. Again, very high game total, potential for a blowout. Obviously, that's a concern. And then looking at it, tomorrow we got the Pacers versus the Lakers in that playing game. Supposed to be a pace-up spot, but so was the Bucks game, and that was not as high scoring as Vegas expected. So now we go in and get into the props bets that we currently have that are looking like some of the better ones. Let's start with kind of these top ones. So Mark Williams is one that I do like. Now Toronto's not really a great matchup, not a bad matchup either. We look at Mark Williams, has been getting the minutes as well. Got into some foul trouble against Minnesota. It does make sense. That's Minnesota. Rudy Gobert, Karl-Anthony Towns, two bigs like that. That is kind of a matchup that I've trying to stay away from lately. But all in all, literally every single data point that we have for today would suggest that Mark Williams is going to get the over. Now, let's just talk about why he wouldn't. I think it's those projected minutes. If he gets into foul trouble again, which I don't think we would expect, but if he does and he gets more close to his average, then you could see why this one wouldn't hit. But for a Flex Friday slip, this is one I'm certainly okay with putting in there. From there, we got Alexander Walker. Under fantasy score at 18.5 is one that's casually popping up for him. I think the reason for that is kind of simple. Sure, it's a fine matchup, but with Ant-Man back, they don't really need him. And he becomes like the sixth option on that team with Ant-Man back. And really those minutes not being there, I think we could see that again. 2 games in which he hasn't gotten the over. Really, the only reason why I think we're getting as big of a line as we are is, the potential for a blowout, but also it's just because of that massive game that he had previously. So that's another one where I probably do agree with the under 18.5, and I am agreeing with the average sportsbook line and the projection data there. I love when the data lines up like that. Jakob Poeltl, guys, I typically don't like betting on Jakob Poeltl just in general. We can see the projection data would have it set at 32. Their sportsbook line would have it set at 31.5. Now, he is someone that I would say probably does correlate with Mark Williams having a good game, because Mark Williams would probably get a block or two. That's kind of my issue with betting on Jakob Poeltl, is that he is someone that is very much minutes dependent, typically only going to get 28 to 32 minutes, but he can get 35. And when he does get those minutes, those blocks, those multiple blocks are really a big factor. Like he can almost get to his fantasy score without any points. Like shoot, I think last game's kind of a decent example that had 4 blocks and only 2 points. Really kind of crushed it in that regard. Like if he just gets his normal points, gets close to that. So maybe that's one I stay away from. Tyus Jones is one that's popping up for over 24.5 for fantasy score. Has a strong likelihood to hit. And so Tyus Jones is one that I do like, because I do think his minutes are going to be more likely to be up, just given the fact that DeLon Wright is going to be out. And yes, the concern really with Tyus Jones and really the rest of Washington is, can they keep the game close enough for long enough? That is always the concern. We can see that when the games are close, he is someone that can get some additional run. Now, I want to point out that with how banged up they are point guard wise, like DeLon Wright still being out, Shamet still being out, even, I mean, this isn't a big one, but Rollins out, Johnny Davis being out as well. Like those few extra minutes should go to Tyus Jones. And if they do, if he does get to 31 minutes, and that's not even what the projection data is telling us, but if he gets close to 31 minutes, then the over should be favorited. And we can see like basically all right there. If he only gets his average minutes, then the fantasy score of 24.5 is tight, right? But all in all, if he does get a little bit extra run like we're expecting, should be able to get the over there. It's prize picks, it's prop betting. Nothing's supposed to be like a lock and load, but that one's seemingly pretty good. We are still seeing Nick Claxton. This is continuing to rise. Now, why is that? It is the matchup with Washington. I think a lot of people are going to be chasing that, and I agree. Now, I don't mind his fantasy score as well. But all in all, there are some ways to go about attacking it. Maybe like points and rebounds. That to me is probably the safer of the two, because more times than not, Claxton's not going to get too many assists. All in all, both are going to be solid bets. We are seeing Nikola Jokic again for over assists. That is seemingly going to be a good one. Jalen Brunson for under fantasy score is kind of fascinating to me. Not sure I want to roll with that, but all in all, decent prop bet that you guys are getting there. Let's see here. Daniel Gafford and Dort. Let's touch on those two in depth a little bit. So to me, this is definitely an interesting line for Dort, and it's seemingly really predicated on the minutes. And with the Thunder right now, I don't know if we can really project anyone to get any sort of minutes for sure, except for like Holmgren and really SGA, maybe Jalen Williams a little bit, but everyone else just seems to be a big toss-up. And so I don't know if I exactly want to chase that with Dort, but all in all, I don't want to doubt Vegas here, and they're saying 18 for a fantasy score, seemingly one that would be popping up. Then from there, let's talk about Daniel Gafford, because that is one that I think I do like. I think by now we all know that Gafford's production is very much minutes dependent. It's just, if he gets the minutes, he's going to get the over fantasy. And so if we're already going to bet Tyus Jones and probably Nick Claxton, maybe Nick Claxton doesn't exactly correlate, but if I were going to bet Tyus Jones for over fantasy score, which it has been crazy, guys, lately how much those two have kind of been popping up on the prop board for over fantasy score together. But yeah, if Gafford gets the minutes, he's going to crush the over. Like, we're hoping that he gets around 27 minutes. Now, we saw against Philly, he was able to get there with just 23 minutes of play. He got into foul trouble in that game. You're not exactly worried about that here against Brooklyn. I mean, don't get me wrong, he definitely gets into foul trouble. And someone mentioned that because of the blowout risk and because he's been crushing in first half, look for some first half props on him. I haven't looked at that, but that could be an option to roll with. Josh Giddey, I'm so sick of him popping up for over fantasy score. I get why like Vegas keeps giving that to us, but it's like, please stop. So I do just want to mention kind of the Suns players as well, because again, they're going to be without 2-3 players really that get a ton of minutes. And so right off the bat, when we're looking at this, it is suggesting that maybe the sportsbooks and PrizePicks are kind of overvaluing what's expected to happen. I'm not so sure I exactly see it that way. Let's just touch on it though. So far this season, we don't have a huge sample size with those three off the court, that being Grayson Allen, Bradley Beal, and Kevin Durant. But we have seen Devin Booker have a 35% usage rate. Guys, that is absolutely massive. I'm very curious as to maybe where his fantasy score comes out to be, but let's just take a peek at this points, rebounds, and assists. So I'm looking at his per 36 production with those three off the court, averages 30.5 points, 6.5 rebounds, so not too high there. So we're at about 37 right now, and only 9.3 assists. So maybe potentially a little bit too thin for this specific prop. And heck, fantasy score, he doesn't really average a lot of steals or blocks. Like, that doesn't get a big bump. And he does average around 3 turnovers, so maybe not there. I'm curious. Assist does average 9.3. So this could be a little bit too low. The points are seemingly correct. So it's actually kind of fascinating there. Let's actually take a peek at Eric Gordon then. So Eric Gordon has a 25% usage rate with those 3 players off the court. His per 36 production is only 2.9 assists. So I can see why the under is actually a pretty good bet here. That's pretty crazy. Now he's going to have a high usage rate, but all in all, I think when you take off Kevin Durant, Beal, and Grayson Allen, some shooters, it does make sense why he could struggle to get some assists. The points, guys, he crushes, averages 27 real life points per 36. And the question is he going to get more minutes? Well, right now the projection data is kind of suggesting that those minutes are going to be locked in. And if he gets those minutes, man, he should be shooting the ball a lot. Like, his per 36 shot attempts is 20 shot attempts. So I am seemingly liking the points here at 17.5. I would probably be betting the over, but that is seemingly going to be a better sportsbook bet. Now, before I get into the bet of the day, just want to show you guys some prop bets that we are getting on Underdog as well. We're going to see Jimmy Butler for under 2 turnovers. That's basically being favored as a push there. And same thing with some of these other turnover props. Heck, we're getting a ton push props where the average sportsbook line would be favoring the over heavily, like 1.5, and Underdog is giving us that too. They have bumped it up because of that. So I don't know if we want to touch those. We're seeing Kyle Lowry for over 9 points, maybe Zach Collins for over 2.5 turnovers, but really it's Jokic over assists and then Lowry over points. Those are the 2 best ones. Maybe Zach Collins in there. Kind of tighter day on Underdog right now. But let's go ahead and give you guys kind of 2 bet slips. I'm going to give you guys one kind of NBA only one, and then one total one that just covers all the best bets using that new cheat. So let's highlight this again. I will be putting in Mark Williams, Alexander Walker, Tyus Jones. I don't know if I want to do Nick Claxton. I don't know. I think I'd rather do points and rebounds. Like, you're betting on the minutes being there. I am going to do Gafford. I don't know if I want to do Dort. Kyle Lowry is certainly interesting. I think I'm going to do Eric Gordon for under assist. All right, so guys, giving you guys kind of a few different bet slips. This is currently the best bets that we have available on PrizePicks for NBA. If you guys want to use those, by all means, go for it. I'm going to be using these in a separate Flex Friday slip as well. If you guys just want to round out the top 4, those are the 4 most likely to hit. By all means, go for it. If you guys don't want to use fantasy score props, you can just use these 2. Now, I want to show you guys another one because this is loaded with a little bit better prop bet. So here's another one. We're still rolling with Mark Williams. That is kind of clearly the best prop bet that we are currently getting. Blake Groupie for more than 1.5 free throw or field goals. Then we got Jason Myers for under 1.5 field goals. Geez, different terminology is getting to be across the sport. Those both have a 54% chance. That this one pains me. If you guys have been following the channel, you know I've kind of been pretty accurate on Noah Gray thus far this season. Another one that's fascinating is Roshan Johnson's rush yards at 14.5. The average sportsbook line is favoring the over here pretty heavily, but what I find interesting is we have no idea the indication of the snaps for them. Like Khalil Herbert kind of clearly their best back, Foreman a better back than Johnson, but they want to get the rookie going for some reason. Maybe eventually pops. All in all, it's a low number, and if he's going to be the RB in that offense that gets the most snaps, certainly something that's interesting. Then I mentioned I was just going to be doing kind of more 4-slip bets here, guys, for the Flex Friday slip. This is what I'm looking at then. Mark Williams for over fantasy score going up against Gafford. Mark Williams over fantasy score. Hopefully he gets the minutes there. I'm perfectly fine with that. Then we got Daniel Gafford paired up with Tyus Jones going against Brooklyn. I'm perfectly fine with that. We're really just betting on the game staying close. As always, that's the risk with Washington. It's about a 9-point spread, but it is a projected to be higher scoring game. Hopefully they can keep it close enough for long enough. And then another one you could, kind of game stack here. Dennis Schroeder for over 6.5 assists. That's one that just popped up as I was finishing the video as the 4th best prop. Now I do want to give you guys an underdog slip as well, and that'll be getting out of here. And actually, guys, disregard that for the underdog slip. It would just be field goals props, the ones that we just had already seen. But thank you guys for watching. Make sure to give a like and subscribe. If you guys want access to the cheat sheet tools, it is available at 95sports.com for just $10 a month for underdog and PrizePicks. Thanks for watching. Let's have a good slate. And as always, let's keep cashing.